Today we have a special one for you. This is a topic that we've been talking about for a while, and I'll kind of give you the context. But just before we start, I'll give you also some disclaimers. We have nothing against Gartner, and in fact, we're a sponsor of two Gartner shows that are happening. One in a couple of weeks in the UK, and another one in Vegas. So yeah, obviously, we have nothing against Gartner. So why did we choose to do this episode? Kind of the context for me is, I've been in several sales processes, and on occasion, we get the comment about, where are you guys at the quadrant of the Magic Quadrant? And, we're not in the quadrant, okay? And mainly, we'll kind of get into it in a few slides, but, that question's triggered a lot of discussions internally. So, when I came to the team and asked, how do we answer that question? Then lo and behold, we had this entire thing already being discussed thoroughly, obviously led by you, Sebastian. So we thought, we're kind of dedicate an episode about kind of going through the missing quadrant and what that means. So, I'll kick things off. Let's talk about some misleading numbers and numbers. And I think you guys are going to get the gist, right away. 98% decrease in influenza in the month of July. Okay, quite a surprise, to be honest. 94% correlation between ice cream sales and shark attacks. Okay, that's a surprising as well. 15% of average salary of CEOs increase, the ones that are playing golf. And of course, there's another one, 10% idea that, we're using only 10% of our brain is 100% me. Obviously, these numbers are, you can believe them, you cannot believe them. I don't know.
I would call them fun with statistics.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, we had one last month, okay, where, the free tool we found out actually costs you 93K, okay? But it's a free tool, of course, but it still costs you 93K. For those of you who haven't been on last episode, I invite you to do so. But yeah, so I think this kind of sets the stage to the discussion, and that kind of leads us to the recent Magic Quadrant. I think a few important things here in the quadrant. First of all, the name. Okay, the name is Enterprise Backup and Recovery, and that name itself, kind of hides a few things within it, right? You've been in this industry more than I have. I don't know how you viewed it throughout the years, but you can see a dominance here of players who primarily come off of the on-prem world, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Enterprise Backup is your classic on-prem setup. It's the grandparent of backup tech. If it were a phone, it would probably be a flip phone. Good for its time, but probably not what you want now. And most people used to have to deal with enterprise backup, still have post-traumatic stress disorder from it. I mean, don't believe me? Take a closer look at the vendor inclusion criteria for this quadrant at Gartner. It must be available since March 2020. Nothing wrong with that. Must protect enterprise environments. Again, nothing wrong with that. But then the must have backup copy for an on-prem workload. Well, that doesn't sound like a cloud solution if it must include on-prem backup component. So what you're saying at that point is that your backup solution must include technology from 2004. Great. Does it come with a free BlackBerry too?
Yeah, right. And essentially, I think this is kind of where we started asking questions, whether, this represents today's world and where we are, and actually where the industry is going, right? Nobody can get away in the recent, 12 months without saying AI and the acceleration of AI actually enforcing people to go even deeper into the cloud than, and I'm, Gartner has done numerous reports and on AI. Then why, when we're talking about the fundamentals of cloud protection, we're still having enterprise backup versus not having a significant definition of what is cloud native. And again, I'm not rushing things here, but that's a question that we've asked. And of course, some of the players in the quadrant, there's another quadrant, which is the backup as a service. Now, does that do justice for cloud native backup? Does that cover the cloud space?
That's a good thought. So then there's backup as a service, BaaS, which sounds modern and cloud savvy, but has some strings attached. It's a bit like staying in a hotel where every amenity costs extra and you can't take the minibar home. Well, you lose control over your data and you may end up paying extra fees if you ever want to leave. Handy, yes, but affordable, not so much. And on the surface, BaaS might seem like a step forward since it leverages cloud storage and often provides a more streamlined experience. However, it comes with its own set of challenges. So the most significant drawback of BaaS is the potential for vendor lock-in. Since the service provider handles everything from the backup process to storage management, organizations can find themselves too entwined with a particular vendor, making it challenging to switch services or reclaim data sovereignty. Essentially, while you're getting the convenience of outsourcing the backup process, you might be relinquishing control over your own data. And this can lead to concerns about data access, portability, and even long-term costs, as organizations could face high fees if they ever decide to move their data elsewhere. You storing your stuff in a members-only closet, well, that's a dream come true to BaaS providers.
And by the way, for those of you who are very sharp, you've probably seen that this is dated June 2022. Okay, we tried to find a recent quadrant for BaaS, but I don't know if it has a quadrant. I don't know if it's something that Gartner decided not to do. Again, if any of you are Gartner customers, you probably can figure out and tell us. But yeah, we haven't seen anything recent with that. So I don't know if Gartner neglected this category or they're doing something else with the category. I'm pretty sure they're covering it. I don't know if they're doing another quadrant. I mean, we haven't found one for 2024. So which again, kind of leads us to why we're here, I guess. And this is, where's the missing quadrant? Why there is no cloud native backup quadrant? Because as we said, not just because we're in it, obviously, but also because there's a lot of other players in the cloud space. And I think it deserves its own category, especially, with recent developments, recent technology, the advancement of AI. I don't see a future without having some mention of cloud native backup quadrant. I mean, let's define what it is, first of all, right? So people will understand what we're talking about. So what is cloud backup, Sebastian?
Well, cloud native backup. So I guess why should cloud native backup get its own quadrant? Well, the problem is that Gartner's evaluation criteria were made for traditional on-prem backup needs. And they're still evaluating solutions as if the cloud is a passing fad like bell bottoms. But spoiler alert, the cloud is here to stay, and cloud native backup offers benefits that these old checkboxes just don't capture. Cloud native backup gives you what traditional setups can't: true scalability, better resilience, and the ability to integrate directly with cloud native services at breakneck speeds without giving up your control and security. So what should cloud native look like? Well, it doesn't require any agents. Don't want to do this file by file, folder by folder. That takes forever. It should interact with the resources that I'm trying to back up via the cloud provider's own API. And probably more importantly, I want to have full control of the data. Cloud native backup is like that super smart friend who just gets the cloud. No baggage, no need to install agents on every machine, and definitely no old school file by file, folder by folder approach. Instead of poking around your system one piece at a time with full access to your data, no, cloud native backup interacts directly with your resources using the cloud provider's own secure API. It's a streamlined, hands-off approach that doesn't make you babysit every backup process. And you get full control over your data without the headache of managing extra agents or manually setting up file paths. So this data protection that respects the modern cloud environment, well, should be fast, seamless, and fully automated. And of course, a real cloud-native solution plays well with others. It's built for multi-cloud and cross-cloud environment, giving you a true single pane of glass view across platforms. Imagine being able to manage all of your backup operations from one dashboard. Whether you're on AWS or Azure, no switching screens or hopping platforms, or hoping that your hodgepodge of solutions play nice with each other. They all might have the same branding sticker on the outside, but under the hood, they're completely separate, unrelated solutions. And cloud-native backup keeps things simple, powerful, and totally in your control, making it easy to protect and recover the data, no matter where you decide to store it. And that brings us to...
Yeah, let's play this game. You know, we basically call this session, you know, the missing magic quadrant. So let's try to fill the gaps. Okay, it's this is our own made-up kind of quadrant, right? So not to be confused with regard to our official one, but let's go through it.
The missing magic cloud-native backup quadrant. So a dedicated quadrant for cloud-native backup would spotlight these unique capabilities, and it would bring attention to the agility, rapid recovery, and cloud-native architecture that sets these solutions apart. I guess you could say, imagine if Iron Man had to compete in a medieval jousting tournament. He's playing by the rules that just don't fit his specific capabilities. So a cloud-native quadrant would show which solutions are really built for today's cloud environment. And it would help cloud-first or cloud-centric companies find solutions that work for them, not targeting companies who are still on-prem. A dedicated quadrant would highlight the innovation happening in cloud-native data protection and give companies a clear view of their options without wading through old-school solutions which have only on-prem in mind and just happen to work in the cloud. So what makes cloud-native backup so special? Well, as I mentioned, it's about resiliency, scalability, and control. With cloud-native, you're not stuck with a single vendor. It's designed for multi-cloud, cross-cloud environments. So you can manage all your data across AWS, Azure, and beyond, all from one dashboard. Think of it as a true single pane of glass. You get the whole view in one place of all your clouds. And because it leverages the cloud's natural abilities, cloud-native backup scales with your needs. It offers near zero recovery time objective, RTO, storing the data in more affordable, more secure storage repositories, well, also that belong to you and work for you. And so if anything goes wrong, it's like snapping your finger and to bring everything back online. You see what I did there? Well, it's resilience and speed that traditional backups just can't match.
Yeah.
So if we show some of the options, then what would it look like? So, well, we have, let's start with Google Cloud Backup, Google's own cloud-native solution. Now, Google is all about do no evil. So they kindly offer a solid backup option for their own cloud only. It's like inviting you to an all-you-can-eat buffet, but only letting you order from the dessert bar. Sure, it works well if you're living entirely in Google's world, but if you're hoping to back up anything beyond that, well, keep dreaming. Google's not your data coverage for that. As long as it stays firmly in the Google ecosystem, you're fine. But then there's AWS Backup. Amazon, the cloud giant that practically invented the space. AWS Backup is a great solution if your whole life revolves around AWS and you're okay with no frill features. So think of it as the ultimate Amazon Prime membership. Next day delivery, video streaming, and hey, backup. But try to use it outside of AWS. Nope. AWS Backup doesn't care if you have data in other clouds. It's fully loyal to the mothership. So if you're looking to back up anything else or dare to ask for some advanced features like, heaven forbid, using cheaper storage tiers, well, you're going to have to shop someplace else. And then Microsoft Azure Backup. True to form, Microsoft makes sure this backup solution integrates perfectly with Azure. It's smooth, it's reliable, and just like Clippy from the old days, it's there to help you within Azure only. Want to use it to back up other cloud resources? Microsoft says, that's adorable, but no. So it's like a Microsoft Office license. You just can't bring it to Google Docs, no matter how hard you try. So that's really then where we come in. So
yeah, surprise.
Right. So think of it as the cloud backup that isn't afraid to leave the neighborhood. AWS, Azure, both, no problem. AWS doesn't just stick to one cloud like it's glued to the couch. It lets you roam freely across clouds and even pull the ultimate trick, recovering data from AWS into Azure. So if your data feels like it needs a change of scenery, AWS has its suitcase packed and it's ready to go. It's the ultimate cloud hopping solution. One backup to rule them all without Sauron watching you. So I guess, what's the takeaway here? So if you're making IT decisions, don't let Gartner's current quadrants be your only guide. Cloud native backup might be missing from their map, but it certainly shouldn't be missing from yours. And it's really time to look outside the quadrants and evaluate cloud native backup solutions for what they truly bring to the table. Cloud native isn't just a checkbox. It's a new standard for data resilience, flexibility, and let's be absolutely honest, your budget. And hopefully, with enough demand, Gartner might eventually give cloud native backup the attention it really deserves.
You kind of concluded it beautifully in the sense that what we're telling our customers is it's true that there are people who have done the research, but oftentimes you need to ask yourself and look at your organization and say, did they do the research that fits my needs and where the future is going and where the future of my cloud environment is going, and whether the solutions that are on there really are tailored to where things are going in the market. It's about just asking the right questions, as you said, and in recent, I think the recent year, we're coming up to the end of the year. We've seen some crazy disasters happening this year, disasters. And you need to ask questions about what next year will bring. And does that mean that we need to be just in one cloud? Do we need to have another policy that kind of spins things off in a different cloud? And you need to start thinking outside the box and not necessarily inside the quadrant.
And you shouldn't have blinders on. If someone tells you their cloud-ready backup is really a traditional backup with a few cloud features bolted on, I think we should all just smile and say, hey, that's a really nice VHS player. That's essentially the same thing. It's antiquated technology. And like you said, you have to look at what's truly important to you and something there where you want to have the best of breed.
Yeah, that kind of wraps things up. This one that we're prepping for you is basically about DORA. So, especially relevant for our friends in the EMEA region. I will not be participating in this one because I will be traveling to the Gartner Show, in London, where you can actually come and meet us in case you're there. We're also going to be at reInvent, and the week after, we're going to be on another Gartner show in Vegas. If you happen to be in one of those events and you walk up to the booth and you come and say Missing Quadrant to me, which I'm going to be present in most of them, then we'll treat you with some fun and nice swag that we're going to keep hold for you. Thank you for joining. And see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.